Hello. How to keep the humans when the team is gone. That's what we're going to be talking about today. I hope you already read the abstract of this talk. I'm here highlighting just a few of the most important points that I wanted to make. This talk is talking about challenge that is, very difficult and very hard to persevere through. It deals with humans, it touches their lives, but at the end, I think that it can be one of the most rewarding experiences that you may undergo as a leader. A cautious listener here may rightfully ask, why am I actually talking about this? Do I have the right to talk about this? So let me establish my credibility as a witness here by explaining where am I coming from. So, dear distinguished jury members, I actually had the unfortunate necessity of going through some of these challenges myself. In one case, I did go through a company insolvency with my product team, and I managed to find a good home for them after a series of negotiations, but we stayed together through that difficult period. Although, as any engineer today, they could find a good job within a week or two, we decided to stick together, and I'm glad that it still works out. Actually, 5 years later, that core team is still working in the same company now. In another case, I built a team from scratch to 40 plus people, and together with some other people, with our leadership, we decided to actually refactor the organization a little bit, reorganize, to set them up better for success. And we shut down some teams. We reassigned people to different departments, but at the end, 6 months later, the attrition level of that group was still 0. In my company, there are people that I have been working together with for 5+ years. There are other colleagues that I have referred or hired in my next gigs that I have known them for 15 years already. I hope that I have established my credibility as a witness, but I have to say very honestly, I'm not sure I did myself a favor signing up for a talk that should take around 10 minutes and talk about such a huge and very difficult problem. However, and that means that actually I'm not going to give you recipes or silver bullets or ready solutions. There are a lot of books on that topic. Some of them are really good, but even with the best ones, you will have to work hard to customize them for your context, which is always very unique and very sensitive. Each small startup that runs out of money, or every agency that has to downsize because of crisis, or every big company that is reorganizing internally without losing any people, they have unique context, and I just cannot give you a ready-made recipe. But what I will try to squeeze in a few practical hints, but what I would like to talk mostly about is how we are approaching this as a, let's say, mental and emotional challenge to go through. So before we start doing that, I would like to actually ask ourselves, why do we even care about this? Why would we even talk about people in this way and keeping the humans when the team is gone? Should we care about the business, or should we care, or should we care about the humans, or should we care about both? And actually, I'm putting the people first here, which has benefits for the business down the line. And let me start with, we should care about the people because you're talking about some humans here. They have their families, their incomes impacted, their plans, maybe their visas, their mortgages, whatever. Whenever one's job is insecure, it puts you in a preservation mode, and that is a significant negative change. Making sure that their concerns are at least heard and understood, maybe even addressed, is something that I consider to be basic humane thing to do. When our jobs are at risk, even when my job is at risk, I don't think we should stop being decent human beings, and hopefully even more than that. Going further, I can only speak about myself here from my perspective. I consider myself to be very lucky to be part of this industry in 21st century. And I'm grateful to whichever fate or chain events led me here. But basically, we are well paid compared to the rest of the labor market and to other occupations here. And even during crises such as pandemic or recession, our jobs are mostly regrouped and they're not net lost. So I think that we as engineering product dev leads have responsibility towards our communities, our occupations, to score some karma points and to consider ourselves to be highly employable on average. In that context, putting our teams and our team members' priorities first for some time should not be detrimental and will not be detrimental to our near future job security and job situation. The following point is that there is also some personal benefit here. Actually, not only that what I just said, our job security will not be at danger. I believe that the opposite is the case. Such battle scars and handling these situations as true leaders are giving us great experience and great story that is only increasing our value in the labor market. And maybe the most important part here in this, when we're talking about personal benefits, the relationships that you're forging, that you're strengthening with your team members in this way are actually something that will follow you for a lifetime. I hope that you're actually started building and strengthening those relationships way before, and now you're just following through with the same way. I personally have relationships, as I explained, that span not just companies and not just years, but even decades now. So just imagine, what do you think, what would be someone's reaction in a few years if they get a job offer from a former lead that actually took time to hear about their concerns and address them? Will they be gladly at least listening and maybe even accepting your next job offer years down the road? I think they will. But going further, I said we will also talk about what's the benefit of the business here. So especially when we are talking about large companies, which are mostly restructuring and reassigning people to different teams, if you invest enough time and enough energy into following through that transition, there is only one thing that can happen. If those people see that you and the company, the organization is treating them with respect and with genuine care, they will feel even more strongly attached to that organization. People understand the realities. They know that sometimes business priorities change, and they will gladly accept if you approach them in that way. What they will not accept and what they will not buy is if you approach them with a careless, blunt, bureaucratic, selfish attitude. People value care and transparency, and eventually they will reward you for that. Not just when I say you, I mean both you as a lead, but also the organization. So let's go further. Oh yes, I want to emphasize, out of these 4 groups of reasons, actually there's one that I would like to call out. First and foremost, we're talking about people here. So let's not forget what is the most important thing that we're covering throughout this whole talk today. Let's not stop being human, decent human beings. I hope that by now you share some of these thoughts with me. So let's now finally focus on some of the key concepts that I think you should be applying during this kind of transition process. So first of all, I think that it's critical that you try very hard, as hard as possible, to think about your people's future. What are their next jobs, their next teams, their next gigs? Make sure you reach out to them. Make sure that you hear them. Maybe they have family issues. Maybe they're the sole caretakers in their family. Maybe they have visa challenges if they lose their company. Use your network within your organization or build it up. When I said that we went through that insolvency, we basically cold and cold emailed half of the town, and we made some relationships that last even today, even though only one of them, of course, could materialize, and that was actually a good outcome. So speak to your network, the new one or the old one, why you hire those people and why you retain them. And bonus, if your team actually wants to continue working as a team, those departments and those companies can get a great, well-functioning product development team that otherwise would take them tens of thousands of dollars and maybe, or euros, and maybe even months to hire and put together as a team. But make sure you prioritize your efforts though. Think, for instance, who is the sole provider in the family, and prioritize them first over somebody else who has less critical needs. Anyhow, going further, the next step in this process would be, or my next advice would be, try to be smartly transparent. That doesn't mean that you spill out everything that you think of or that you hear or that opens up as opportunity the moment it happens. People in these situations, they enter preservation mode, as I said, and every gap that you leave, they will fill it in with their worst assumptions. It's just basic human nature. So if you don't make enough time and space to think and convey the message in the right way, then you're giving them the opportunity to actually fill in the gaps themselves. So if you do it quickly, run away, or you assume that they have the same awareness and the same context that you do, trust me, they will fill in those gaps with the worst case scenario. So be smartly transparent, don't hide anything, but measure when and what are you sharing with them for their own benefit, not for manipulating. Going further, once the decision that the business has to shut down or reorganize, you owe them a thorough explanation, and do that in various ways. You'll have to do an all hands, series of one-on-ones. Make sure that you send out an email with all your thoughts summarized. Make sure that it is carefully crafted. Different sizes of companies and different types of challenges are demanding different approaches here. So again, this is not a recipe, but make sure that you deliver the explanation very thoroughly to your team. However, going further, focus on the transition. So these types of situations are perfect for dwelling, ruminating, even entering a blaming mode. Of course, the team will be asking, how did we actually get here? Was it because we missed that or we missed this? Is that that person's failure that they didn't deliver on time or whatever? Put that aside for some time. Right now, you have to focus on transition and finding both them and yourself a new home. Make sure that everyone's concerns have been addressed. And after that, you will have a chance and time and the benefit of the hindsight to discuss that at length with your team over a beverage of your choice. Now I'll be contradicting myself. I said, because I'll say, take care of yourself. I hope that by now as a lead, you have acquired that skill, that mastery of taking care of yourself at the same time while you're taking care of the team. Make sure that you're not letting down your support net. Being a lead, a manager is very often a lonely job. And talking with your family, with your coach, with your friends, whoever you have, can actually be very beneficial. In these times, they'll be supporting you a lot, but make sure that you pay back that kind of support, pay back those credits with enough interest once the storm is over. But at the end, be pragmatic about setting expectations and then following through on them. For example, if the team wants to stay together, but after a couple of weeks, there is no prospect of that, it's better to just, be very open about that instead of giving them false hopes. Or within 4 or 6 weeks, there is no chance of, materializing some opportunities. It's better to just call it a day. Otherwise, some of the risks that people are concerned are exponentially rising. The momentum has been lost, and long periods of uncertainty are actually breeding anxiety. So sometimes it's just wiser to call it a day, especially reminding you once again, we are kind of privileged and we're still better off than many other job profiles on the labor market. So once again, getting back to my point, out of all these things, the most important thing to take care, in my opinion, is the people's future. So make sure that you hear them, that you understand what their concerns are. And if you can address and resolve their concerns, please do that before you do anything else. I have one practical hint to give here. I said that you will need to communicate very thoroughly with your team. The best way to do that is actually upfront create a communications plan. And that communications plan is basically just a list of everything that needs to be done. Who is going to do that? With what purpose? What is the message that you want to send? What is the medium that you will use? You're probably not going to do all of this together. You will have your management chain or your leadership team helping you out. Spread that across with them, share the responsibility and the burden. And this will help you not just be synchronized, but will also give you another chance to think through all of these challenges and find some gaps in your communication plan while you're still putting it on paper. So bringing it at home, I did give you a bunch of different hints and tips. I touched on many different important concepts. I know I just glossed over them. They're so important and so profound that, in 10 minutes I cannot talk enough about them. So, but one thing that I, again, have stressed and will stress again, the most important thing to take care of are the people. If you care about them, you will not be at loss. I have personally benefited a lot professionally and personally from investing in those strong relationships with my teams. I guess we all know, though, that should not start, when difficult periods come over. Building relationships with teams is actually many small things done well, repeatedly, all the time. But especially during hard times, they can be disproportionately positively strengthened, and they will give you definitely an outsized return on your investment. Keep the humans, especially when the team is gone. Thank you very much.